Alrighty, folks. So I watched the new Superman, and I have, I went with my wife. My wife and I always have an interesting time watching movies together because when I go, I'm very analytical about what I think of the movie. My wife sort of gets an overall gestalt, and it's mostly like, that was fun. And so my wife's review was, that was fun. And I think most people who come away from the movie will probably do the that was fun thing. And that seems to be what the people are saying. People are generally liking the movie. They think it's fun. They think it's kind of a kick. David Corenswet is charming. He has good physical presence. I didn't mind him as Superman at all. Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane was fine. I thought she was great. I thought both of them had good chemistry. I thought all of that was fine. And then there is the analysis. So my overall review of Superman is super meh. It's meh. Okay, so all the people who are getting super exercised over the politics, and we'll get to the politics a little bit.
It's not even, dude, even without the politics of it, like, it's a fun movie. That's it. So if you're going to watch this as a fun movie that is supposed to be like a faithful comic book movie with like weird characters that it's not supposed to be like hyper realistic or gritty, you're gonna like it. You're gonna enjoy it. The politics on top of that are incredibly blunt and not even remotely subtle is extra fun. It makes it even better. Just like the original comic books were. Superman fighting Nazis directly. Superman telling children not to be racist. Superman openly saying he's an immigrant. Superman openly being held back by the federal government due to his immigrant status. All of those things are literally in the comic books. They have played a role in Superman. So like even that in of itself and the bluntness of that and the bluntness of comments is the bluntness of the ideology. This review was sponsored by Luther Corps. I would have been shocked if you liked the film. Wait, so now Superman's against genocide? Who signed off on this radical idea? Ben unironically thinks Lex Luthor is justified. Coming to see a film review by Ben Shapiro is like going to a 7-Eleven for a fine dining experience. I have a feeling you've never actually picked up a Superman comic. That's so good.
Later on, I think that they are overestimating how much politics is in this. I think they're deliberately misinterpreting some of the politics that are in there. This is not
he's going with the it's not actually about Israel route. This is one of my favorite types of conservative cope, to be like, well, everybody likes this, so obviously it can't be about Israel because everybody likes Israel. And if you don't like Israel, you're anti-Semitic.
Movie about illegal immigration. It's not a movie about ICE, Russia, Ukraine, Israel, the Palestinians. There may be references there if you have politics on the brain, but other than that,
he's like, oh, you're just making it political. You're just making it political. It's not actually political. You're making it political. It's not political. Okay, thanks, Ben. Thanks for letting me know, dude.
I really don't think that there's that much of this there. That is not my overall problem with the movie. My overall problem with the movie is that you are taking the most iconic American IP of all time, Superman, which is to be treated with a certain level of respect. That doesn't mean it has to be grand mythology, the way that Zack Snyder.
Maybe it is. Maybe it's what America's supposed to be. Like anti-racist. Maybe you guys have personally actively tried to go against that narrative in a way that is ridiculous and almost like a comic book villain. Because like America is what you make it. America is a nation that was built by immigrants. Okay, immigration like migration patterns have made America this unique country that it actually is. It's perhaps one of the best saving graces of America, something that I talk about quite a bit, and obviously the original authors, Jewish immigrants of Superman, the original authors of Superman were both Jewish immigrants. They definitely wanted to do that. They definitely wanted to show that.
Snyder wants to do. Like my standard for Superman is not Man of Steel. My standard for Superman movies is 1978 Richard Donner, the best version of Superman. It just is. Overall, here is my problem. James Gunn is the wrong director, writer, creator for this thing.
I saw Chewbacca on the cover of People magazine. I was like, oh my God.
He's just wrong for it. It's Guardians of the Galaxy with Superman in it. And so that means it's all kind of a mess. It's an overstuffed movie in every way. It's visually overstuffed. In terms of plot, the plot holes are big enough to drive a truck through them. There are character problems. And all of it is just kind of wrapped around this gauzy, fast-paced, jokey tone that doesn't mesh with Superman as central part of Americana to me. James Gunn's sensibility is always to be subversive. That is what he does. He does subversive in Guardians of the Galaxy, right? He takes a comic book movie and he turns it into sort of a potty-mouthed sitcom.
Don't drink fountain water, you idiot. That's disgusting.
And he does the same thing with Suicide Squad. He takes that same sensibility, and now he's doing that with Superman.
Superman robots, I thought I told you to keep an eye on him.
We feed the canine, but he is unruly. And he realizes we are not flesh and blood and couldn't, in our heart of hearts, care less whether he lives or dies.
And I get that after the interpretation of the Snyderverse is over serious, he's reversing himself into completely the opposite direction. But what that means is that he's constantly subverting everything.
I was raised with a dog that was my sister.
The very beginning of the movie, you are told that Superman is the most powerful metahuman, right? There's like a placard that says 30 years ago, the metahumans arrived. 3 years ago, Superman emerged. 3 weeks ago, there was an invasion. And now 3 minutes ago, Superman's ass got kicked.
I'm not messing around. I'm doing important stuff.
He's not very super. He is not the Man of Steel. He is not invulnerable. He gets his ass kicked routinely. He gets locked up in a prison with a character who's making kryptonite out of his hand.
Yeah, I mean, that is like, again, that's also another cool aspect of this that I don't know why he thinks it's bad. It's good. It's good that he's not. It would not be fun if he was just like one-tapping everybody. You know what I mean? Yeah, there needs to be conflict, dickhead. What are we talking about?
Sorry, what?
He's constantly in victim mode. Like Green Lantern has much more success in this movie. Mr. Terrific has much more success in this movie than
Like, one of the major plot points of Mr. Terrific and Green Lantern is that they initially, in the formation of like the Justice League, right? They initially aren't involved in global affairs. Like, they literally say, I don't want to play a role in this. I don't want to play a role in this at all. It's very obvious that a big part of this is like Superman and his actions make, Justice Gang. Okay. Justice Gang. I know. The original Justice Gang, which is the Justice League. So like what Superman does here is his involvement in global affairs, like his moral compass causes others to also take action, causes others who have power to also take action. He literally makes people, he springs others into action. That's the whole point. That is the I don't know. I just saw like a lot of what I've tried to do with commentary in general, which is like to influence others to also do right and to defend vulnerable people and to show by not just telling, but also doing, no matter what the repercussions are. And I think that was what was great. Like, he is an inspirational figure, not just inspirational towards human beings, but also towards metahumans and people who are powerful themselves. Like, sometimes it's okay to do good.
and Superman. Superman's parents from Krypton, if you're going to go through the mythology, send him to Earth so that he can be a moral guide for people on Earth using his great powers to stop evil from happening to them. In this movie, his parents from Krypton send him there. This is the big revelation of the movie. His parents send him there to dominate the life on Earth as an alien invasion, essentially, and to create a harem of Earth women to have his many babies.
Well, sign me up.
So immediately you're taking the expectation of what you know about his Krypton parents and flipping it on its head. His parents, Ma and Pa Kent, in the original, they are noble and they are wise. They're kind of salt of the earth. Here, they're basically kind of, I don't know, like down home types who don't seem to, they live in a...
Oh my God, dude, that is like literally supposed to be, that's supposed to be a statement about like regular ass. This is literally in the comic book line, by the way. This isn't subversive. It's literally part of the comic book line that Gunn took inspiration from. Dude, Ben Shapiro hates the real Americans, okay? Real rural Americans that make up the base of MAGA, because his parents are the base of MAGA, okay? His parents are supposed to literally look the part of corn-fed Republicans who still have a moral compass, who just keep to themselves and have a moral compass, and they have guided Superman against what his Kryptonian parents initially might have liked, and have basically created, like his parents offer him the initial guidance, or, you know, they create Superman, obviously, but then his Earth parents are the ones who give him the morality that he upholds. You're supposed to think, see, this is real America. In a normal world, you're supposed to watch this and go, see, even real Americans that you wouldn't expect, that the media has always blindly criticized as like racist monsters, actually have the capacity to show a positive side. Like, Superman's adoptive parents are simple folk that teach him right from wrong. Okay? What the that's what it's supposed to be. But Ben Shapiro is such a squishy bi-coastal elitist that he sees the Kansas parents and he thinks like they're disgusting, they're fat, they're slobs, I hate them.
Kind of a crappy house. They're the kind of people who call the TV the box. They're the kind of folks who are sitting around and you know, kind of scratching their butts. They're purposely cast as ugly and non-noble. It doesn't mean everything they say is bad. It isn't.
What?
But, and by the way, both of them are alive in this, right? The original Superman mythos is that Pa Kent dies, and that's what sends Superman on his journey. Anyway, Crypto, the super dog, is a terrible dog, is a dog that does not, like an idiot dog. Like, way worse than my dog, Happy. My dog, Happy, way better than this dog, and my dog makes trouble. This dog is a mess. Supergirl, who you get introduced to for a hot second at the very end, Supergirl is a drunken teenage brat. Right? Like, anything that you think you know about the Superman universe, James Gunn is determined to debunk in the first half hour of the film. I think that it's a betrayal of the original IP and mildly upsetting. Not like hugely upsetting, but mildly upsetting. That is my critique of James Gunn. He is not the right person for this film because James Gunn is not capable of delving. He's just not. He's not capable of delving into a single character and examining his motivations and what's interesting about that character. He can't do it with Superman. He can't do it with Lois. He can't do it with Lex. Instead, he decides he's just going to toss everything into the stew. And so you end up with this sort of ADHD film where a bunch of things are going on at the same time, but you never get a good, interesting perspective on anybody who's in the film. So Green Lantern is there, and he's kind of just...
Yeah, this is why you failed as a screenwriter in Hollywood, man, I think. Because everything he's saying is the exact opposite. Like, literally everything he's describing here is the exact opposite, where, like, in a very short period of time, James Gunn is able to create compelling side characters that you can even launch a franchise off of individually, okay? I would go so far as to say that my analysis is the exact opposite of Ben Shapiro, where, like, it's clear that the side characters are unique and compelling, even if they're, like, kind of cheesy in a comic book kind of way, that that is the exact opposite of what Ben is saying. That, like, it's obvious that James Gunn actually did care a lot about the side characters and wanted to focus on it. Mildly upsetting. I only cared about it a little bit, merely 45 minutes. He's correct about the dog only, but it's just another problem for Superman to have to manage his cousin's poorly trained dog. I liked the dog being unruly. It reminded me of Kaya's behavior. This editing is unbelievably cringe. Biblical fall off. Honestly, I mean, Ben Shapiro's fall off has come way before this. Let's be real.
And he's there as comic relief. And then you have Mr. Terrific, who's the actual hero of the film, who you learn nothing about other than he's just kind of a noble do-gooder fellow. And you have all these superheroes who are wandering around. You never get any information about them that make...
I need to see what he thinks about Hawk Girl. Oh my God.
Interesting or sympathetic or even particularly cool. But you don't know the motivations of any of the villains except for Lex, who it turns out is just really kind of jealous of Superman because Superman has superpowers. And Lex is like, I'm really smart. And Superman is really strong. So why do people like Superman?
But dude, that's like his motivation in the comic book, man. That is literally what Lex Luthor... Like, I don't even read comic books like that. I've never been like a massive DC guy. But the Superman Lex Luthor character and the dynamic between the two is unironically that, where he says, like, brains over brawn. That's it. That is supposed to be his, like, one note reasoning. Yeah, that's just how it is. Like, willing to rip apart the earth in an effort to just, like, dominate Superman. Like, yeah, you can say it's one note for sure, but that's kind of how... That's his motivation in the comic books as well. Yeah, he is incredibly jealous and an incredibly petty bitch. The characters we know are not how we expect them to be, makes us eager to await and what they will say or do. like Lex Luthor is designed in a way where he has everything on the planet. Okay. He's the richest guy. He's the smartest guy. He has government contracts. He has all of this. But the one thing he can't get is the admiration that Superman has, which bricks him because he's like, why can't I have that? I have it all. And yet I don't have the admiration and the hair, of course. So it's like, it is in a way, it goes back to what I was saying about how the real world, unironically, is more like kitschy and stupid than a goofy ass comic book villain, because that's just Elon Musk. Okay? That is literally just Elon Musk. You are like, under normal circumstances, if we lived in a universe where Elon Musk didn't exist, I'd be like, this is so stupid. Like, you mean to tell me there's a billionaire, the wealthiest person on the planet, that is like seen as like this brilliant person, but is like the deeply, deeply insecure? But that's Elon Musk. That's literally who he is. That is a primary motivator. Okay? That is unironically a primary motivation for Elon Musk. Okay? I don't know what else to say other than that's just who he is.
More than they like me, which is a pretty boring motivation, to be frank. So the characters are complete pastiches. They're just cardboard cutouts. Even the moments that are supposed to hit don't hit because there's so much going on in the background, because James Gunn cannot control his ADHD. He just cannot.
I think he was pooping his brains out for the next 36 hours.
There's a scene where Clark and Lois, they've had a fight and now they're back together and they're having a talk. And it's supposed to be this very intimate talk where they're speaking with each other. And literally outside the window, Green Lantern and Mr. Terrific and Hawk Girl are fighting a gigantic sort of eye monster that looks like it's from Suicide Squad.
Stop it right there, Joker. You'll never get me, Batman. Will you catch him?
It's God, these edits are so ass.
Extremely distracting because he's James Gunn and everything has to be some sort of dumb joke.
Wait, what? That's the point. What the And he also didn't use the original scene, and he just used a separate scene instead, which I don't know why. But yeah, what the what? That's the whole point. It's supposed to be like Superman, regardless of this like analog for God, almost like a moral figure, like a deity, is still capable of feeling hurt, is still capable of being wronged, is still capable of being almost petty at a time when like there is a necessity for him to save the city. He's too invested in having a conversation with his girlfriend after he got over, and he's like looking for his dog. He's sad. He like, in spite of his superhuman status, he still has the capacity to feel feelings like a human being.
Joke. You're like, well, shouldn't Superman be doing something about it? No. Let them handle it. Again, that's irritating. As far as the plot itself makes very little sense. The plot is basically
dude, this literally okay, I can't believe I'm saying this. Ben Shapiro inadvertently, without recognition, has created a movie review that Lex Luthor would have made about the movie. Like, this is, I suspect if Lex Luthor in that world was reviewing the Superman movie, he unironically would review it like this. It feels like this is almost like a meta review. It's like, Ben, if he just shaved his head and was like LARPing as Lex Luthor, this would be a much better product.
Lex Luthor has decided that he is going to make a deal with a foreign politician who...
I love Nicholas Hoult, by the way. He's so good.
The left wants to believe is both Vladimir Putin and Benjamin Netanyahu, but actually is just kind of nothing, is going to invade another country.
It's David Ben Shapiro, by the way, which I'm surprised Israel's greatest defender doesn't even recognize. He's based. I mean, it is a placeholder for both Benjamin Netanyahu and also Vladimir Putin. That's for sure. There's like a little bit of like Russian USSR almost style, like Russian associations, but this is also directly Israel. It is literally Israel, and he looks like Ben Gurion too.
And Superman stops that invasion. Apparently, Lex wants to use this as an excuse to box up Superman, saying that he's running counter to American foreign policy. Now, we've seen that iteration in other movies, right? That was in Batman versus Superman. You've seen it in other versions of the Superman story. But
also, even the flag, dude, when I saw the flag of Barovia, I couldn't believe it. Like, I was like, dude, they're not subtle about this at all, brother. They were Bro, come on. I mean, they put like a kind of like a Star of David on that flag. It's not the Star of David, but like it was crazy to see. Wait, Hasan, I just got off the stream. Did you like the movie? I love the movie. It's not like it has different colors than this, but that's just, I think that's like the Barovian hammer. That's the way he shows the flag. But it does have this star. Dude, I'm sorry. That's crazy, right? Like when I saw that, I was like, what the that is the copium and Ben is wild. She actually tried out for Superman, but James said he would make a better Lex, which was so cool. Do you believe Baravia has a right to exist? No, that's from the Hammer of Baravia. Yeah, that's Hammer of Baravia, and the way like that's what his suit looks like. But is there a still from the movie? Do we have a still from the movie? What the is this? Okay. Iron Dome head. What is this? Literally a Palestine flag in the last shot. Wait, is that? The villain is Israel. James Gunn Superman set the ruffle feathers as early viewers realize it's entirely pro-Palestine. I don't know if they... That's the Jaunpur flag, but it's the same colors. Yeah, I don't think they would. I don't think any big budget... Let's not get ahead of ourselves. There is 0% chance that there would be a real-ass Palestinian flag that made it past any of the censors, okay? Yeah, this is the real flag with the Star of Day with extra points on it. My far-right cousins shit on you constantly, and I have to agree to not make it awkward. I hope you forgive me. No, you should tell them they suck and fight them at my behest.
But it's not really taken kind of to its ultimate extreme politically. In any case, it turns out that what he really wants is to annex half of this separate country. He's going to split it with this other dictator. One major plot hole. Lex Luthor is obviously the smartest person in the film. So smart, he can create his own universes. Is a major...
Oh, the only thing I didn't like was, I will say, there was one criticism I had. It was Lex Luthor's combat system. That's the only thing I didn't like. I don't know if it's because it's like too faithful of an adaptation of the comic book, but I didn't like the combat system that they created, where he would be calling out the shots ahead of time. And I guess it's because like it's supposed to, he made it like chess for his ego. Yeah, I get it. I get that part. But he's just like, I wasn't the biggest fan of it. He's supposed to be a chess master. Yeah, he made it so that it was like a chess move. I like, because he would just call out different things like 1A, 3D, and then that would mean 1A is like a straight right hook, like straight right punch, right? So we say 1A, 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 and then like he would just like be straight punching Superman, like the Ultraman that he created. Oh my God, the map of Jaunpur is literally Israel Palestine with the border drawn different. Yeah, this was from I think this was literally from the movie too.
Plot point. And he is concerned about a relatively small piece of land occupied by third worlders. This is his big plan. And later it turns out that he said, oh, no, I started that war just so that I could get people to turn against Superman. Okay, well, he does that halfway through the film. And then he jails him, and then he leaves him alive and explains this secondary plan that apparently was his primary plan, sort of. But he doesn't kill Superman at the time for a reason that remains undisclosed.
We hear that he killed 27 children, and you're always going to make mistakes, but that's how it is.
The entire plot is a complete mess. If you try to chart it, there's no way to do it because James Gunn doesn't care about plot. James Gunn doesn't care about characters. James Gunn cares about joke.
Being woke. James Gunn cares about being woke. That's what he cares about. Wokeness. Look at his hair. It's awakened.
And aesthetics. That's what James Gunn cares about.
Nobody cares anymore.
It's very difficult to make Clark a hero in a situation in which the plot is a complete mess. And again, that's not a rip on Nicholas Hoult, who I love in everything. I think he's great. Or David Corn.
What do you mean? How is it dude, what the It's like automatically implied. You're watching a Superman movie. Of course he's the hero. If anything, it makes it harder for, I would say that if you want to criticize something about James Gunn, the thing you should criticize, and it's too limited of a time frame to like really build out this world. The only criticism I have is like how quickly people turn on Superman. That was too like, but I give a lot of liberties because it's like supposed to be a comic book adaptation. So like I can suspend my disbelief on that. But if anything, that was the major criticism, which is that the turn happens in a way where it's like way too, it's way too immediate where, all of the people turn on Superman almost instantly. As soon as like the TV says Superman is bad and he wants to actually dominate the world, all of a sudden everyone's like, boom, you know, we all hate this guy, right? And I think that that was one of the only parts of the scripting, the screenwriting, where I was like, well, this is a little bit, you know, this is a little crazy, right?
Sweat or Rachel Brosnahan. That's a rip on James Gunn as a script writer. It's just not a good script. Okay, we'll get to more of this Superman review from Ted back. Our CGI vomit, like complete Ben YT. Okay, the visuals are, when I say a mess, I mean that the visuals are CGI vomit, like complete CGI vomit. So James Gunn has an addiction to kind of gross and weird imagery, which doesn't really fit in the context of the, again, Americana that is Superman. And so there's some really gross and weird images, particularly in the Pocket universe, where you have characters who are turning themselves into weird tentacly octopuses, and you have people's eyes being attacked on a wide variety of it. He has an obsession with eyes, James Gunn, and you can see it in Suicide Squad. He has like an obsession with the eyeball being pierced, and it's very strange and off-putting. My wife was very off-put by a lot of this imagery. It feels like psychedelic LSD CGI vomit is what it feels like for large portions of the film. You never really get a kinetic scene of Superman doing something cool.
Do you have Top Gun, Ben Shapiro's Top Gun review? Because I want to see something. Because I wonder if he talked about how Top Gun was very clearly Iran. Because it was. Everybody knows it was Iran, right? Like the new Top Gun was about striking Iran. It was the Fordow facility, right? And I wonder if Ben makes that.
Do you feel the need for speed?
Yeah, this is back when he was popping, by the way. So anyway, we'll get to that in a second.
Multiple scenes of giant heavy objects falling on Superman and Superman stopping the giant heavy objects from falling to save an individual. Again, another plot hole. You'll have giant building. The entire building will fall, and he will stop the building from falling to save one person or a chipmunk who is in the way. But it's an entire building full of people, so presumably all those people are dead. In any case, the visuals, I think, are a problem. The music, again, John Williams is still alive. Just hire him to do your Superman movie, you stupid. Just stop it.
Get some help.
I get very exercised. This is the only thing that really exercises me about this. John Williams, his original Superman score is one of the great scores in all of movie history. It is a phenomenal score, beginning to end. It may be John Williams' best score. I love that score so much. It is a great, great score. It is magic.
How many views does this have? In one day, only 167,000 views. He's washed. He's over.
And what do? They take the original theme and they play a few notes from it because it's so iconic, and then they underscore it with nothing, with like a pedal tone. It sucks. The music is awful. The score is terrible. Just play the original score. The original score is good. The original score is magic. You feel the magic when Superman flies in the original score.
Bro, this literally is the beginning, okay? When he's flying through the Arctic, this is exactly the same visual, but basically bass boosted with modern tech. They literally did that. It is such a faithful adaptation. I cannot believe it. Like the initial flight that he takes on from the Arctic Circle it's so perfect. It's so strange to me that he has an issue with this when if he was to like look at this in all sincerity, he would be glazing the out of this movie. And the reason why he's not glazing it is because of, you know, the thing that he undermined, which was the Israel analog. Okay. The Israel analog. That's what it is. He didn't like that, but he can't say that he doesn't like that. So he has to act like there's other reasons why he didn't like it. Okay. That's what's going on here.
Like, what are you doing? Okay, then we get to the actual politics. So I know this is what people are waiting for. They're waiting for my political rip on this film. So we've been told this is a movie about illegal immigration. Not really. Honestly, like you have to look to find that. There's one line where Clark is saying, "Aren't you going to read me my rights?" James Gunn's politics is so ham-handed, like truly ham-handed, that it doesn't even read as political. It just reads as stupid. So there's a moment where Clark, he's being arrested, and he says, "Aren't you going to read me my rights?" And one of the members of the government says, "Well, you're now considered an enemy alien, or you don't have any rights because you're not an American." All right. Like, if that's supposed to be some sort of like anti-ICE sentiment, it's really weak. Also,
oh my God. From the brilliant eyes and the brilliant mind that brought you Lady Ballers, Ben Shapiro has a lot of opinions, chat. He has a lot of opinions on this. He's like, it's supposed to be ice. Is that what it is? Yeah, dude, it is. It is supposed to be that because Superman is a illegal immigrant, dude. He's an illegal alien. That is the whole point. Oh my God.
Legally incredibly stupid, considering that he came to Earth as a baby and then was adopted by an American family, which would make him
Ben, dude, what the? Yeah. No, he's a dreamer. There is a specific term for it. There is literally a specific term. When Superman was invented, there wasn't a specific term for exactly what Superman is. Now we have one. It's called a dreamer. Superman should be a DACA recipient, okay? Deferred action on childhood arrival. That is literally the specific legislation written around Superman's style of illegal immigration into the country. Oh my God. Yeah, he's DACA man.
That was meant for the babies of slaves. It wasn't meant for people trying to scam the system and come into the country on a vacation.
I'm not messing around. I'm doing important stuff.
There's a suggestion that he says truth, justice, and the human way. I didn't catch that anywhere in the film. The sort of social media politics that social media is stupid and rigged by bots, which, I mean, I think everybody sort of agrees on at this point. And there's a really dumb visual joke where Lex has set up actual monkeys typing into computers as his bots. It's like, oh God. But that's so James Gunn. Again, it's all so...
Yeah, that was silly for sure. But that's, it's silly. It's a comic book movie.
Like James Gunn. I mean, I just...
Like a lot of the silliness in this can be attributed to the fact that it is a comic book movie. Every single frame that you see like that, if you close your eyes, you can visualize as a scene in a comic book. Okay? And I think that was what he was trying to do, which is to make a faithful adaptation of a comic book that is going to be silly. Like down to what's his name? Jimmy Olsen, is that his name? Like he's supposed to be like a super hot guy that is so hot and people love him so much that like the girls love him so much that no one even notices Clark Kent. Okay? No one even notices that it's literally Superman wearing glasses. Like, but he made him into the character that he actually is, but he still kept the whole like Riz factor. Like it's silly. It's supposed to be silly. That is the whole point. It's a silly comic book. Like not everything, in my opinion, not everything has to be like super serious. Yeah, it's camp. It is intentionally camp. When you see something that's like really dumb, right? When you see something that like doesn't make any sense, where you're like, what the f this is so corny. You're supposed to think, oh, this is what it would look like in a frame in a comic book. Down to the annoying social media influencer girlfriend of Lex Luthor. When popping off and Lex Luthor's girlfriend is right there going, and like taking photos of everything, okay? That is a verbatim, one-to-one. I can see that in a comic book frame. That is exactly what it would look like in a comic book frame. Okay? Like if you go into this with the expectation that this is going to have like gritty realism and like dark tones or whatever, it's an adult movie. Okay, this is a movie made for adults. I want my comic book movie to be like an adult-focused comic book movie, even though none of them actually become like real adult works, with the exception, I guess, of like The Dark Knight or whatever, right? With the exception of like Nolan works initially. Like this is not that. You're gonna be disappointed. It's a very, very different style. Okay. It goes so far as to say this is the exact opposite of that, because that Snyder verse was a failure. Okay. That's why this is supposed to try a different thing. Okay. This is a reversal of that kind of attitude that people have. And it doesn't do the annoying Marvel style. I can't believe I'm saying this. This is James Gunn, but like, it doesn't even do the annoying Marvel style either. It is cheesy and corny in a good way, in exactly the type of way that comic books are. And it's not in the type of way that like Marvel flicks have corny ass references in them, because Marvel will put like real world corn into comic book adaptations. This just straight up does corny in the way that the comic book would.
And again, I'm one of the people who, when James Gunn was first fired from the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise in July 2018 over bad old tweets, I actually defended him at the time. So it's not about like anything personal with James Gunn. I just don't like his movies very much. The other politics of the situation are supposedly this foreign policy thing. So the left is suggesting that the foreign policy conflict in which Superman engages is a stand-in for Israel and the Palestinians, or alternatively for Russia and Ukraine. So let me give you the geopolitical setup. The geopolitical setup here is that there is a country called Boravia, and this country called Boravia is run by essentially a corrupt dictator who's working with Lex Luthor, and it invades another sovereign.
Yeah, say it's a U.S. ally, because that kind of destroys the whole "this is Russia-Ukraine" analog, don't you think? You know, unless James Gunn is the unless James Gunn was saying Ukraine actually invaded Russia, okay? And he's one of those Russian flag, Palestine flag guys on Twitter, because it really doesn't make sense as a Russian-Ukrainian conflict analog here at all, because it's, you know, it's America's valuable ally that gets billions with a B dollars worth of weapons. And yeah, invading a sandy country with its Merkava-style tanks and Humvees and U.S. gear.
Country, Jarhanpur. Okay, and so Superman stops that at the very beginning. Okay, like, and doesn't show him stopping it. He talks to Lois Lane about it. Fine. Okay, the idea is geopolitically that Boravia has been a longtime ally of the United States. Jarhanpur is a country where we don't know who it's allied with, and it may or may not.
Dude, he's trying hard, bro. I swear, this is literally super woke review from the perspective of Lex Luthor. He's like, Boravia has a right to defend itself. Boravia has a right to defend itself against Jarhanpur. Everyone knows Boravia was destined to be. Boravia was destined in the Bible 3,000 years ago. Lex Shapiro. This is deeply anti-Semitic. Why do they not show that Jarhanpur is using human shields? Jarhanpur is being backed by scary enemies of America. Yeah, Ben Shapiro is about to be like, Boravians like to build. Jarhanpurians like to live in dirt and blow things up. Oh. Oh, that's funny.
Not be run by jihadis, but we don't know. Like, we don't know who it's run by.
Oh, it's run by jihadis.
Doesn't matter. The only reason that Clark stops it, that Superman stops it, is he says because
People were going to die.
Yeah, it's that simple. That's it. It's not supposed to be any different than that. And in many instances in the real world, that is a perfectly understandable moral compass that, unfortunately, not every single person abides by. Okay?
which, as we'll get to in sort of my final breakdown of why this movie doesn't work and why no really good Superman movie has been made since '78.
What did he say?
I'll explain in a moment. The people of Jarhanpur are brown.
Look at my African American over here.
The people of Boravia are white. Okay, so this is why the left is reading this as Israel of the Palestinians. The reason it doesn't work that way is because we are not made aware that the people of Jarhanpur are either wildly terrorism support.
Oh my God. Oh my God. There's more nuance to the Jarhanpur conflict. Oh my God. Oh, I was joking when I said this. Oh my God, he literally says he does a Hasbro for Superman for a fictional Israel analog. That's crazy. That is crazy, bro. Bro, that is amazing. Yeah, tweet like you're in Metropolis as response. This is how you know it's a direct analog to Israel-Palestine. Oh, 100%. Yeah, Zoran Mamdani wants to be the mayor of Metropolis, yet he refuses to say Boravia has a right to exist. Straight up. Eric Adams. Metropolis is the Jarhanpur of America. No, is the Boravian capital of America. Hasan, on a quick different note, did you like Sinners? I loved Sinners. Yeah, they're not talking about whether Jarampur committed acts of atrocious violence.
That they've participated in multiple terrorist attacks on the people of Moravia. They're led by a corrupt dictatorship that murders gay people, right? None of that's in the movie. So it doesn't match up that way. And the idea that Moravia is Israel in this iteration, like a longtime U.S. ally that's randomly invading countries for territorial gain.
Yeah, that would never happen, except for the one country that Ben Shapiro seemingly always defends unconditionally, which is precisely the reason why he's actually real butt mad about this direct analog, which you know is a real analog. Oh my God, this is the best possible proof that you know this is Israel, okay? God damn. Tweet like you're in Metropolis. My apartment complex just split in half, but we just sent another $200 billion to Moravia.
Not match up to any of the facts on the ground that we know of at all. That is not real. So maybe in left-wing brain, that's how it reads. I could see if you're a left-winger and you don't know anything about the situation, or you think...
Yeah, totally. Ben is the only one who knows about the situation. I love that these guys will also try to reduce like actual critical thinking about Israel and Palestine as an ongoing, 80+ year conflict that is filled to the brim with ethnic cleansing on one side, obviously, and an apartheid state and a genocide that's ongoing. And they try to say, no, it's actually the left that's like a reductive about it. Meanwhile, the Israeli officials are like, this is a war between the children of light versus the children of dark. These are darkness. We have to kill them all. They are human animals. Like, who's reductive here, man? It's not... The people that say this is complicated, actually, are just people that obviously have to exist in the real world where they recognize that most people don't f Israel, and they still try to like find something that's like redeemable about Israel's behavior when it's incredibly, it's obviously irredeemable.
A bunch of false things. You could read that maybe. You could also read this as Russia-Ukraine because it's one sovereign country that's invading another sovereign country, and because the leader of Moravia has a Russian accent. So I guess that if you have like poison left brain.
The Russians are nuking us.
Yeah, this is cope. This is so cope. Yeah, is America funding Russia's invasion of Ukraine? Is that what's going on? Is America funding to the tune of billions of dollars Russia's invasion of Ukraine?
Oh, go, go, go.
Yeah, Ukraine, famous for its desert-style portrayal and its brown people holding AKs. Look, man, Hollywood is not exactly shy about presenting all countries in that region in this similar way. And in this circumstance, that blunt stereotyping is obviously pointing to one thing, and that is that this is Israel and Palestine. You know?
Come on! The missiles are coming! They've lost their mangoes! Get to the gym!
But you certainly don't have to read it that way. And I'm not going to read it that way because it's stupid and it doesn't make any sense politically. It makes no sense. Okay. So this brings me to my final point about this.
I like that he presented it as an alternative in an effort to basically move away the conversation from like the actual analog of Israel-Palestine. Okay. But then his alternative is so stupid that he basically said, it's stupid. It doesn't make sense. Oh, okay. So it is Israel-Palestine then.
This movie and all other Superman movies. The fundamental flaw in all Superman movies of my lifetime is the thing that Hollywood cannot say and will not do.
Politics, does he still stand for truth, justice, all that stuff?
The only Superman movie that I have ever seen that uses truth, justice, and the American way is the original 1978 Superman.
I'm here to fight for truth and justice in the American way.
This is not just a throwaway line. It is deeply important to the character of Superman. Why? Well, because take Superman just as a character. Superman is unbelievably powerful, unstoppable. He's faster than anyone. He has X-ray and laser vision. He's stronger than anyone, right? He's basically a god on earth. And the biggest...
He wants to deny the allegory entirely, but he knows it's a 1-1 and he just can't help but defend Israel. I know. That's why it was so funny where he's like, it's obviously not Israel-Palestine, because if it was, then they would show that Jarampur is doing heinous acts of terrorism.
God. He's Zeus, right? He can do whatever he wants. And so why is he the good guy? Why isn't Lex Luthor right? Because, let's be real, if there were a person on Earth who actually had those powers.
Praying for Moravia, Justin Bieber posting a photo of Gaza and then making it and saying praying for Israel. That's great. That's a deep cut. People forgot all about that. Remember when Justin Bieber did that? That was crazy. He's doing Hasbaravia.
Americans would rightly be very much afraid of that. Correctly. As Federalist 51 suggests, you need ambition to counteract ambition. If any one person had ultimate power, what you're really talking about is a philosopher king. And that's pretty scary because that person could be a dictator, simply doing whatever they want to the world. The only reason why Superman would be a hero as opposed to a villain is because he grew up in America, because he has the American way, right? He's emblematic of what America is. May blunder, may make mistakes, but overall stands for freedom and liberty and private property and free speech and all of those things.
All that stuff.
Right? All the good American stuff. There's a great comic book called Superman Red Sun.
Wait, no way. Does Ben like Superman Red Sun? Because I love Superman Red Sun. I recently watched the animation of this as well, which was all right. It wasn't like super. It was great. What the? Wait, hold on.
It's an alternative universe in which Superman's capsule from Krypton lands in Soviet Russia, and he grows up as the emblem of Soviet Russia, and he's evil because he grew up in Soviet.
What? No, that's not. Wait, what? That is not the takeaway at all. What the? Brother, that is not. No, Miller literally at most you can say was depicting a perfect universe. Like his ideology there is unironically, there's a lot that's wrong with America and there's a lot that's wrong with the USSR. And we need to in order to find a perfect, in order to strike a perfect balance, we have to get some of the good sides of both. Like that, it's literally, he is not evil at all. What the dude, conservatism breaks your brain. This went to Harvard, dude. He went to UCLA undergrad and then Harvard. How are you? Did you not read? When you read stuff, do you just see the hammer and sickle go, obviously this is evil, like Nazi Germany? Like what? What? That's crazy. He just went, Superman is obviously evil because he's not American and socialist. That's so stupid. I mean, Millar is not, he's not like a socialist by any means, but it's very obvious that in the comic book and in the adaptation, the animation, they don't present Soviet Superman as an evil figure at all. Like there is an, if anything, I would say in the animation, there's too much of a cowardly turn, a cowardly heel turn at the end where they just abdicate all of Superman's personal responsibility and his developmentary project in the USSR back to the Brainiac or whatever the fuck that evil AI thing is. But overall, in the formation of the USSR, shepherded by Superman, he is he has this genuine, ambitious project of development and a worldview that is not immediately showcased as evil at all. As a matter of fact, it shows it as awesome with a dark side to it. But they present both the United States and the USSR as deeply flawed ideological projects, and one where the US is perhaps even more evil than the USSR is. Unironically, they don't even show the USSR as this pure evil nation state project at all. They literally show the United States as more evil than the USSR in the comic book. I mean, for what it's worth, in the actual book, yes, that's why I said there are obviously ideological limitations to Millar's depiction. I mean, for what it's worth, the actual book, the portrayal of the USSR and the communist Superman are a typical liberal take of naive good intentions that end up super evil with the same lib ending as the movie. Yeah, but it's more so. I read it more so as these are both. There are good sides and bad sides to both. It's a typical liberal, almost social democrat approach of we need a mixed market. You can't do full communism or you can't do full socialism. Both end up as failures. That type of attitude. Ben Shapiro's take on it, on the other hand, is obviously it's purely evil. They make Superman purely evil because he was born in Russia.
Of the West, long have you been deceived by the lies of America. This beautiful wall.
Dude, he literally liberates Korea and unites it. Get the out of here. At no point do they actually show this as a bad thing. They literally show this as a good thing.
To prevent you from knowing the truth, that you live your lives enslaved to the capitalist elite.
Like, I would go so far as to say, even under like Stalin, even under Comrade Stalin, okay, Superman is like depicted as a hero of the people. Like, my life to the state, my life in service to the people. Like, I would go so far as to say, like I guess if you have a negative association with that kind of language, like, you automatically assume they're showcasing it as evil. But I thought it was like relatively faithful to like the attitude that you would have in the USSR if such a beacon were to exist. He literally builds a mega dam. They use his superpowers to do development projects that actually power the entire state under the guidance of Stalin. They literally, there's even a mention of like the Sino-Soviet split as well, because he kills Stalin in Red Sun. And there is a moment where like the Chinese ambassador's like, I'm terrified of you. Like, there's almost a subtle nod to like the Sino-Soviet split of like betraying Stalin and Stalinist principles that make China worried about Superman's ambitions. It's awesome.
Red Sun. It's an alternative universe in which Superman's capsule from Krypton lands in Soviet Russia. And he grows up as the emblem of Soviet Russia. And he's evil because he grew up in Soviet Russia. Because if you give that power, that amount of power to an evil ideology, then evil ensues. So this is why it's really important. It's not just truth, justice, and the human way, or truth, justice, and all that good stuff. There's a specific definition of Americanism that says that this is why America, for example, should be a world power. Because America is better than other countries. And people who live in accordance with Americanism make the world better.
I love when Ben goes, I don't like it. You guys, the left has a reductive approach to the world. And then will, in the same breath, turn around and be like, America is the ultimate power for good and should retain hegemonic superpower status in perpetuity because it's only done good and its enemies are evil. Thanks, Ben. Thank you for your nuanced and complex political worldview. When Superman ruled Soviet Union had a 95-year life expectancy. Yeah. Bro, it's also one of the things that I did like about Superman Red Son is that it just straight up is like on the fuck anarchist tip. Like, it literally portrays anarchists as evil collaborators that are counter-revolutionary that will service Western governments, okay? Batman in Superman Red Son is a straightforward maniac terrorist. He is a literal anarchist terrorist who services American empire and every step of the way tries to destroy the developmentary project that is the United Superman backed Soviet Republic. Okay, he literally works with Lex Luthor.
If they have more power, that's why America is good. Because otherwise, Superman is bad, and Lex Luthor is right, and we should restrict his power, and we should jail him.
He's literally taking the Lex Luthor approach. Oh my god! Oh my god! That's the whole point in the movie. In the movie, the entire plot revolves around Lex Luthor's attitude where it's like, well, we got to control this super powerful being. Like, I don't like that. He's not serving the interests of empire. Lex Shapiro. Oh my God. Oh my God. He literally is like, well, obviously, if he's not a controllable super weapon, then we have to literally end his life. Luthor is right. We should restrict his power and we should jail him. What a screenshot. What a perfect screenshot and a perfect demonstration of Ben Shapiro's worldview. Holy
and we should check and balance him, and we should not let him be free. The problem is that Hollywood cannot say the American way because they don't believe in the American way. They don't believe that America is unique. They don't believe in these American basic values and principles and rights. They have a hard time, even with the idea that like the values of Ma and Pa Kent back on the farm are values that ought to be promulgated in the best of all possible circumstances. And so what they come away with in kind of the key moment in this movie, for example, is Pa Kent telling Clark that parents don't make missions for their kids, right? They don't make their kids kind of what they are in terms of what they should be. They give kids the tools to choose what they want to be, and then those choices make those kids what they are. Okay, that's kind of half true and half not. Of course, you give your kids the tools to make choices in life, but you also try to define the mission your kid should have in life. That's maybe the most important thing you do as a parent. Direct them in a world of choices at what is the ultimate good, what is the ultimate goal. Hollywood is not run by people who believe that there is such a thing as an ultimate good or an ultimate goal. It's run by moral relativists who have a kind of, at best, soft-pedaled, generic, be nice attitude toward the world, which is why Superman's defense of intervening in this foreign conflict is,
people were going to die.
Okay, well, people would die on the other side, presumably.
Dude, oh my God, he's saying that the conflict between Moravia and the conflict between Israel and Palestine is complex and nuanced, and that both sides have done some things. He's trying, oh my God, that is amazing. That is hilarious, dude. He is so bent. Of course, simultaneously, there is no moral relativism that he is applying when he's talking about how America is the ultimate beacon of good and all things good, and Superman should represent America because America is good and Superman is good, and God forbid America does something bad. Okay? But it is hilarious where he's like, well, you know, in terms of like Israel Palestine, I mean, both sides have some good. Please remember that it's complex, it's nuanced.
If you didn't intervene, or people die every day in conflicts all over the world, right? The reason that Clark or Superman is supposed to intervene is because one side is right and one side is wrong. And unless you are willing to simply say that all foreign policy situations in which people die under any circumstances are equivalent, which I don't think is right, then you end up in this kind of weird generic place. The central question of Superman has never really been handled by any movie, and it's certainly not handled here, which is why should one person be given this much power? And the answer is he shouldn't, unless he is essentially just a metaphor for what makes America awesome, which is what...
I love this review, bro. This review is amazing. He just straight up says it out loud. He literally is like, in my worldview, I'm like a child. I'm like a baby, okay? My understanding of the world is like a baby. The only pure good in the world is America and what America represents. And therefore, Superman has to represent America. Because if Superman is at odds with America, as it is in the movie, and America's foreign policy decisions, that makes me feel bad. That's why I'm actually in favor of Lex Luthor killing Superman. That's what he's saying. He went against the U.S. ally, which was Moravia. Did he even watch the movie? No, exactly. No, he's just mad. He's mad. That's why the comments are making fun of him. This review was sponsored by Luthor Corp. I would have been shocked if he liked the film. Wait, so now Superman's against genocide? Who signed off on this radical idea? Ben unironically thinks Lex Luthor is justified. Ben's comments about Mom, Pa can't caught me so off guard. I'm from Scotland, so perhaps I don't have the privileged biases of Americans, but I absolutely did not think of them as sloppy or downtrodden. They seem to me like normal good. The kind of people Superman exists to protect and serve. Seems a shockingly cruel and judgmental reading, and frankly, I'm a bit disappointed. That's the kind of arrogance that gives old school conservatism a bad name. Superman didn't become woke. You grew up to be a villain, Ben. Ben's describing his parents as ugly and non-noble is such a tell of how nasty and odd his spirit is. The original mythos that Pa Kent dies, sure, if you only seen the movies and the comics, whether one or both, neither Kent parent dies, depending on which comic age we're talking about. The original Golden Age comics have them both die. Post-crisis, neither die. It's just... I think if you're like a modern conservative and you operate on the good-bad dynamics and you always have a tendency to side with evil, okay, if you're like a modern conservative commentator, you are finding yourself on the evil side of things quite frequently, okay? And therefore, like easy to understand narratives such as the one that we are watching frustrate you because you're like, no, why isn't it showcasing the nuance of evil countries doing evil and how they have to do this evil
what Superman was designed to be. This is why Superman in the original comics is punching Hitler. Because he is the American way and not the German way or the Soviet way or...
Wait, punching Hitler is the Soviet way. What the f*** do you mean? That what? Just doing a little bit of World War II revisionism?
The Chinese way, which are different things. So again, that is the fatal flaw, I think, for pretty much all Superman movies. But in this one specifically, they don't even bother with any of that. It's cotton candy. You'll watch it. Maybe you'll enjoy it. Maybe you'll be like me and be overcritical. You'll walk away. 2 days later, you won't be thinking about the movie. 2 hours later, you won't be thinking about the movie. Nothing about the movie is going to stick with you. The hero of the movie is the dog.
That's not true at all. I love the movie, and it stuck with me for sure. If anything, it got better the more I thought about it afterwards.
Superman has to be saved multiple times by this, like, not particularly good dog. I mean, he's a good doggo, I suppose, but he really is badly behaved, this dog. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Failenial. Good doggo.
So my overall review, 2 out of 5 stars. Meh. I think that the stars do their best with bad material given to them by James Gunn.
The worms going in.
Yeah. It's James Gunn woke mind virus. That's what ruined it. That's what poisoned it for Ben. These are the guys who used to always say, why do you have to make everything political? And, the left doesn't appreciate something if it has like bad politics in it, politics that they don't agree with. And to a certain degree, there is an element of truth about a bunch of like joy killers in the peak of woke. Okay. But that's precisely what Ben is doing here. The only thing he didn't like about it very clearly is that it is, as a matter of fact, Israel versus Palestine, and Superman and the heroes that he inspires end up beating the out of Israel, like directly, hands on. Okay. That's it. He saw too much of what Israel's doing that is bad.
Let's bring in ABC.
And it pissed him off. And now he's taking this approach.